I'm saying? Inulodas, Dustalodas, Beltalodas, Laconia lodas, Eartha lodas, and all the other lodas, Siri lodas, Palace lodas, Forklift lodas, people that are watching the stream lodas. So, welcome. I hope everyone is having a wonderful time, and wherever you are at in this globe, in this beautiful blue crystal ball of ocean and awesomeness that we are traveling around the galaxy in. And if you are watching this live stream, you will be one of the few privileged people to watch it because I said some stuff that might have made never mind, I'm not even going to go down that rabbit hole. So, what I was going to expand on, what I was discussing earlier today was the artificial intelligence in the expanse. Does it exist? And I would say yes. But first of all, I just was contemplating what is civilization? So I kind of view myself as a civilizationist. I don't know if I just made that up, but if you think about it right now, if you're fortunate enough to live in an advanced first world country, this is the safest time to live in human history or what we know of as human history, quotation marks. Just think about like in the Middle Ages, even in like the Napoleonic era, uh, during the colonies, the British expansion, that that was not some very, you know, it was literally survival of the fittest. And like, if you think about it, I enjoy security. I enjoy like, oh, if somebody's out to get me, I can call for help. I enjoy roads. I enjoy sewage. I enjoy being able to go to the grocery store. I enjoy, being able to go to a movie. I enjoy being able to travel around where I live and feel safe. And like, all those things I think we take for granted. Like, and just think, out of the few thousand years that led up to this, it was kind of like a ebb and flow of peak civilization, decline civilization, peak civilization, decline civilization, peak, decline, peak, decline. It never really bottomed out, right? I think a misconception is after the Roman did the Roman em- see did the Roman Empire actually collapse, or did it just evolve into something different? Because there's only so long that type of imperial that was trying to be a republic civilization could last. And instead of the Roman Empire collapsing, it kind of splintered into many little Roman empires like the Franks, the Germanians. Uh, I forgot what Spain was called. They all had different names, Portugal, Britannia, and they all kind of took the lead for a while. Like, it was the Dutch for a while, the Spanish and French for a while, you know, and I didn't even know this until I started watching Shogun on Hulu. But the Portuguese actually were the first to establish trade with like Japan and China. And it was Britain that came in later and kind of, perfected it to their own means, which isn't a good or bad thing. But I think what happened was the Portuguese kind of misled the East Asian countries into thinking it was a fair, partnership. And how the British exploited that is the British came and said the Portuguese, belief basically says that you're subjects of Portugal, which on paper probably is what it meant, but, like, in practice, that's not really how it was. So that's how the British kind of spin doctored into, like, taking over the trade with the East Asia countries from the Portuguese and the Spanish, and, of course, that led to the Spanish and the French and British competing for colonizing the new worlds, right? And, is that how it's gonna go when we spread out throughout the solar system? Like, in my earlier stream, I was saying how wealth is so, like, unfairly not unfairly, but just a minute amount of people control an absolute extreme, like, almost all of the wealth. But maybe that's just how it has to be because us in a modern technological global trade civilization with each other, maybe that's how it has to be that a certain group of people have to control this enormous amount of capital and wealth just to keep this re this intricate trade system going, like, on a day-to-day basis. I don't think we realize when we go to the grocery store how much of a trade infrastructure network it took to get that product to the grocery store, especially where I live. I'm not gonna like I'm not gonna like make it obvious, like so people could figure out where I live, and then because nobody would care anyway. But where I live, it's even a little more. Well, it's probably about the same to be the truth. But when you go buy stuff from the store, like you have to think probably whatever you're buying came off a ship and then it either went by train or a semi truck or plane, depending on what it is. And all of that is, if you think about it, the logistics involved in supplying people with everyday stuff is is kind of amazing. It's kind of amazing. It's almost like an orchestra of perfected. I don't even know, like, you can study logistics and the global trade. Oh, we got somebody, Dr. Astronomy. What's up, Dr. Astronomy? What does Dr. Astronomy is with? Aquarius program is the first interstellar search for life in the outer system like Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. Project Aquarius under the radar of Project. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't really know about that. Like, I guess that is a good point because there is Europa's an ice shell moon. I believe Enceladus is an ice shell moon. So Europa is a Jovian moon of Jupiter, one of the larger moons. Enceladus is a larger moon of Saturn. Those are the two ice shell moons I can think of off the top of my head. I think there's a couple more that they recently realized were ice shell moons, but they didn't before. I think there's like 4 or 5 of them around Saturn and Jupiter. Um, and if you think about it, if it's like what an ice shell moon is what they think it is, or more than they're pretty sure. I mean, it could be like not what it seems, but what happens is it's the whole outer crust is a thick layer of ice, and then because Jupiter radiates so much radiation, because basically Jupiter was kind of like a star that was too small to form. If Jupiter would have been like 10 or 15 times larger, it would have kind of like heated up and became we would have had a binary star system. Then life as we know it would have been completely different. So luckily that didn't happen. Um, but basically, if you look at Jupiter, you that's kind of what a star looks like right before it does the fusion process. But because it 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 didn't form a star for whatever reason, Jupiter generates so much radiation and heat that it creates warm cores in the center of. We'll just use Europa for example. I think there's one or two more around Jupiter, but I can't think of them off the top of my head. So that generates a a like a molten core inside of Europa, and the ice shell, the big layer of ice, like probably, I don't know how thick it is, but it's probably like a pretty thick layer of ice. And then they think there's a liquid ocean under there. Rather it's like ocean as we know it. I believe the Galilean probes and the other probes determined it probably is H2O, but they're not really sure. It could just be like a nitrogen ocean, or it could be an ocean, but it could like not have the ingredients required for life. Um, but if it is a like saltwater ocean or similar type of ocean as we have, or at least H2O on one form or another, the theory is down at the bottom, the ocean surface would be volcanic vents because there's volcanic activity coming, like heat vents. I don't know if it's volcanic, but heat vents. And how they know this is because the ice on the top, it has like fractures. The ice fractures, and then every once in a while there'll be plumes of liquid that shoot out into space and then obviously freeze. And that would probably be the next best place to search for life besides Mars. They also think there might be some places on Mars where, because actually, well, my let's talk about this. Like early on in the solar system, like a billion and a half years ago, right after Thea did its glancing blow off the Earth and created the moon, there was three habitable planets: Venus, Earth, and Mars. And they think Mars might have been like the first one to develop an atmosphere and oceans, but because Mars is basically I don't know if it's three times smaller than Earth, but it's substantially not as big as Earth. What 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 why we have a magnetic field is because we have a molten core in the center of our planet that generates a magnetic field, and that blocks the radiation. And how our molten core, we have a what they think we have a very larger molten core. And what they theorize, well, what they pretty much think happened, but still you can't really prove it 100%, is when early on in the solar system, when Theia, which is another planet probably a little bit smaller than Mars, glanced off the Earth, that tilted the Earth on its axis. And because of all that heat in that ripped off a thick layer of our outer mantle. And because it ripped off that thick outer mantle of crust, that created not only what was needed for plate tectonics so the continents could move around, it also increased the size of our molten core, and that created an even larger magnetic field. And then, of course, all the debris from that impact formed the moon. And so the moon used to be a lot closer to Earth, and now it's gradually like, I guess eventually the moon will spin away, maybe, I guess. So, like, I don't know how far the moon gets away from the Earth every year. It's probably like hardly even calculable, but like, oh, you can figure it out over 1,000 years. It's not a lot. But if you stretch that out over a billion years, the moon used to be way closer to the Earth. And when we formed our oceans, because the moon was so much closer, like now we have 3 or 4 foot tides, like high tide, like a super high tide might be 3 or 4 feet. That's like the largest high tide the moon can make. But but back then, a billion years ago, when the moon first formed and it was really close, that you had 1,000 or 2,000 foot tides. So that would take the ocean and just go 2,000 miles inland. And they think that's was part of the process to get the minerals from the ocean to mix with the land to start the primordial soup to start life. And like all of that, if you think about all of those things, if Thea would hit Earth straight on, it would have destroyed both planets, and there would be like another asteroid belt where Earth, where instead of like if Thea would have hit Earth head on, it would have completely destroyed the planets, and then we would have an asteroid belt where Earth is, and there might be like some large chunks that make bigger asteroids. But luckily, that didn't happen. So although, like, just how Thea barely glanced off of the Earth, tilted the Earth on its axis, and then all of the debris formed the moon, and that stabilized the tilt of the Earth's axis. That gives us the seasons, and not only that, because it did that glancing blow, it ripped off the thick layer of crust to give us a thin layer of crust on the Earth that allows the continents to move around. Like Pangea used to be one landmass, and then it split apart. Like I don't know how many times. Like if you look at the map of the Earth, um, the Pacific Ocean will eventually get smaller and the Atlantic Ocean will get bigger, and then apparently all the continents will come back together, and then they'll twirl around for a while, and then they'll start to split apart again. Apparently, this has happened a few times. So there's like Pangea, and there's other names for it. But anyhow, back to Mars. So th- they think Mars was the first to form like because Earth was going through all that chaos because it collided with another planet called Theia. So Earth was a little late in the game. So I think Venus and Mars were the first to they they think Venus also might have been like a habitable planet too. But we'll start with Mars. So what happened with Mars is, obviously there's evidence Mount Olympus Mons, the biggest volcano in the solar system, is still there, and there's geological evidence of ocean and erosions. But because Mars was smaller, not even that, but because the molten core of Mars developed the same as proto Earth before Theia glanced into it and made us luckily have a bigger molten core. Because if, like, let's say that would have happened to Mars, and if Mars would have had a slightly bigger molten core, like it still might have an atmosphere, but because it didn't, the the core of Mars slowly couldn't sustain itself, and eventually it lost its powerful magma. Like, I don't know, it's like a swirling ball of metal. It's like a mini sun inside of a planet, but it's like magma lava, not like hydrogen. It's like a ball of magma lava. And because Mars, it just it went as long as it could, and then it slowly started to lose the magmativity, because when you have volcanic activity, slowly that magma gets released. And if the core of Mars isn't big enough to like keep itself going, it just slowly started to shut down. It didn't happen all at once. So like Mars didn't just like the core just stopped one day and then all of a sudden it became a desert. It probably happened over hundreds and hundreds or hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of million years. Like eventually Mars just slowly lost its its magnetic field. And once you lose the magnetic field, it's the sun, the solar radiation will just slowly cook off the atmosphere. And once that happens, it's a dead planet. Um, so anyway, where was I going with this? Oh yeah, so they think possibly there could be places under Mars in like volcanic caverns where some kind of the water might still be down there somewhere. So actually, and For All Mankind, I believe they did find one of those water volcanic caverns before that one kid messed everything. That one kid that was shouldn't have been on the mission messed everything up. But they think possibly there could be like ice or water down there that there could be some microbes or something. Like, I don't know if it would be easier to search there because first of all, you'd have to like do a massive geological study to try to find those volcanic caverns that, and then if you found them, it's like, how do you know if it has ice in it anyway? But if you go to Europa, you don't have to search anywhere because you know it's one giant ball of ice covered liquid under that ice shell. Like, it I don't know if Dr. Astronomy is talking about the probe they're gonna launch, and then I think it's gonna, like, drop a little, like, lander, and then it's gonna, like I think it has, like, some kinda nuclear thing, and it's gonna melt through the ice, and then they wanna send, like, a little drone submarine down there. Like, that would be kind of interesting. Hopefully, we can do that. Um, like, I don't know about Enceladus is further away. Like, I guess Saturn. I wonder. I'm trying to think. Does Saturn have a lot of radiation like Jupiter? I'm not sure. They probably both have radiation. Like, I don't really know. Like I know Jupiter, if it was 10 or 15 times larger, would have been a star. But like, what was Saturn? Maybe I guess they're just gas giants. And then I was wondering, like, if you if you go for like if you go far enough into Jupiter's atmosphere, does it just become such thick gas that it's almost like not gas anymore? Like is like or is it just all gas but it gets so thick that like there's no way anything could go down there. I don't know. It's interesting. Yeah. Hopefully they'll do that pretty soon. That would be kind of cool just to know either way if there is like I would think if there is anything in the liquid of Europa, it would probably be similar to what's on our ocean. Like if it was above microbial life, that would be amazing. Like if they went down there, like somehow if that the only thing is that submarine submersible thing they're planning on sending through the ice, like how far can that thing go down? Like hopefully they can make like a really powerful one that can go all the way down to the bottom. And if it found like like one of those heat vents and it found like some complex, like whatever that little life is around the heat vents on our ocean, that would be pretty amazing. That would be like game changing for like our science and evolutionary studies. And wouldn't that be funny if they sent that little submarine down there and all of a sudden there's like a big a big, like, fish floating around, like, obviously, it wouldn't be a fish, it'd have to be, like, some kind of what if they were, like, fish that, like, they had their own, like, lights because they're in the dark, so what if it was, like, some kind of fish that had, like, it's generated its own light source? That would be cool. Like, that would that I doubt it, but if that did happen, that would be effing amazing. So, anyway, what if I hope is that what you're talking about, Doctor Astronomy? Is that what the Aquarius thing is? Like, I don't know, like, I wish they would, figure out a way to get more funding for this kind of research, like, it seems like it doesn't it's only, like it would only cost, like, a few $100 million. I mean, me saying that only cost a few $100 million, that that sounds obviously like a lot of money, but if you look at our military budget, a few $100 million is hardly anything. Like, if they wouldn't have messed around with that LCS, the Navy, and that Zomwalt, that ridiculous stealth destroyer they built, we could have, like, sent probes anywhere we wanted. But not hindsight's always 2020, or, like, the Navy tried to do something, it didn't work, and now they're figuring it out. Like, I'm not trying to say anything against the Navy, like, all throughout naval history, every nation has made catastrophic mistakes trying to develop naval vessels, so that's not anything new. So you can't, like, say, "Oh, the US Navy, blah, blah, blah." No, every navy, the British Navy, every navy has made catastrophic mistakes in trying to develop, advanced, warships. So, anyway, it would just be nice if we could get more funding for that type of exploration into our solar system, like a probe to Enceladus, a probe to Europa, send, like, I don't know, make some robots to go to Mars and try to find some caverns or something. And that's the other thing I think a lot of people don't think about is when astronauts come down from the International Space Station, like, after 6 months, 9 months, or however long they're up there, they can't even stand up because they just spent 9 months in 0 gravity. And when they come back down from Earth, they literally have to be pulled out and put on a stretcher and taken to a hospital, a specialized hospital, and they have to be in that, like, recovery clinic for, like, a month or 2 before they're even allowed they have to, like, go around on a walker at first, and then they have to go on a cane, and then, like, they have to spend, like, 2 months in this center just to slowly get themselves accustomed back to 1G gravity. Like, I don't know the whole, like, I'm not a medical person, like, if I see, like, people I used to have this girlfriend that, watched the Operation channels. Remember they used to have on cable that Operation channel, and I do not like to look at that at all, but I guess it's amazing to some people, apparently. But, I'm getting sidetracked again. Do, 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 do. Oh, yeah, I think what a lot of people don't think about is if you send people to Mars, uh, it's only one third the gravity of Earth. And how long can they stay on Mars before they, like, if they're on Mars for 3 years and one third gravity, would they even be able to come back to 1G gravity? And then, like, let's say they start to try to make a long-term colony on Mars, like, could you even procreate correctly? Because the human body has evolved. Obviously, when our we're being born, we're being developing in 1G. So if a fetus develops in 1/3 G, is that even gonna work? Like, I don't think too many people think about that. Like, one thing I liked about For All Mankind is season 3 when the one, NASA astronaut had a fling with the cosmonaut guy. They had to get her back up to the Phoenix, to the artificial gravity ring to have her child. So, I don't know if that had to do with. And then also I was thinking, like, if you're on Mars, like, it always shows people walking around, wouldn't you be able to, like, hop a little bit further because it's less gravity? Like, if you were walking upstairs, couldn't you just hop up 2 stairs instead of 1 stair? Like, would Martian stairs be every 2 steps? Like, I don't know, like, I don't know how that works. Like, is it relative to where it doesn't really notice the difference? Or if you were on Mars, could you hop a little bit higher? I guess on the moon, they don't really hop that much higher, do they? When the astronaut or were they purposely trying not to jump up in the air? I'm not sure how that works, but, uh, yeah. Yeah, that's why I think in The Expanse, on in their biodomes, they have artificial gravity because I know everybody in the comments of all my Expanse videos, they say, "No, there's no artificial gravity on Mars. It doesn't exist. No, 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 no." But, like, okay, so they can terraform Mars in 300 years. That's almost like extreme level of technology right there. They can control the Earth's climate. They can do weather modification on Earth that they can, uh, climate change. They can, like, at least put it on not so high of a level or whatever. I'm not really sure how they can do weather modification on Earth in the Expanse, but they can. And they can also just think about the Nauvoo that was supposed to go to that other star system that would have took 100 years to get there. So that ship probably could have got to 60% the speed of light by 50 years of constant acceleration. And if you have a, interplanetary ship in the Expanse go from Earth to Pluto, it could probably get to about 7% the speed of light. So right there, that that to me says that wouldn't be that hard to make artificial gravity on Mars. Now, it wouldn't be an easy thing, but I'm sure they could have some kind of, like, reverse fusion reactor that somehow, you know, does some kind of magnetic shift or polar shift or like a big magnet or something, and then it generates a artificial gravity. Like, it wouldn't be a simple process, but I think it could be done because Mars is large, and that would get rid of the problems of them, you know, living in 1/3 G, because when you look at Martians in the Expanse, they seem like they have the same physical strength as people on Earth, and they look the same. And also, well, I know this is me being trying to, like, find a loophole, but when they show them walking around on Mars, it's everything is just like Earth. Like, if they spill something, it doesn't spill like 1/3 gravity, but that's just me trying to be a trying to like spin doctor it, because the only reason they did that is just because it was cheaper to film it that way, obviously. Um, so yeah, what I was saying about artificial intelligence in the Expanse earlier, and now that I got my thoughts together more properly, is how I think they did it in the Expanse is their artificial intelligence became so advanced, it developed as a duplicate consciousness. And then either it or the humans decided that the best way for it to aid humanity, because I think in the Expanse they would say it's for the benefit of humans, is it syncs with human consciousness, and then, like, it gets encoded into our into our genetics, and then once it's encoded into our genetics, it gets passed on, and then so when this mutual symbiont consciousness is in a fetus, it starts itself as knowing just like an infant knows. And then as the child grows, it's the symbiont AI consciousness that we have in us grows with the child, and then it adapts. It doesn't control anything. It doesn't like talk. It doesn't make people hear things. All it does is assist our thought process. Like, we can process math faster. We have better reflexes. It helps like regulate our bodily functions better. Like, it could like, it's like a organic artificial intelligence. Like, the AI kind of became organic in it. It's a symbiont consciousness, and that's what it wants to do. It wants to help the host that it's just like, that's the best way I can explain it, because that's my theory, because it evolves for each individual person. Like Holden, for example, because he had to lead the ship, it made him have a little bit more of a temper because that's what he had to do. And then Alex, like, he literally synced with the ship, the Rocinante, like basically when what Alex thought, the operating systems on the Rocinante was synced with Alex. That's why they're like, "Why are you talking to the ship, man?" It's because, you know, he's his artificial intelligence symbiont overlay developed to put him to sync with the operations of the ship. That's why, that's why they can learn so quickly, even though he was a cargo he flew a support ship for the Martian Navy, but because he was in that situation on the Rocinante, because his AI symbiont consciousness enabled him to learn so quickly how to do all those, become an amazing pilot. And like Roberta Draper and her Martian Marine Corps recon team, you know how they kind of like fight with each other, and it's because they're supposed to be a little bit more aggressive because they're, Martian Marines. So that symbiont artificial intelligence in them, that's how it makes them behave. And Amos, though, see, I think Amos, because he grew up in that science crime syndicate in Baltimore, I think like his symbiont AI might have been tweaked a little bit, or maybe that's just how it developed, because Amos can go from like the most gentle, nice seeming guy around to just like, I'm an angry bear, and then he can just stop being an angry bear, right? Because but the thing about Amos is, you think if his artificial symbiont intelligence overlay, he's no longer in the Baltimore crime syndicate world, or whatever he was part of that, you think it would change. But I think like they tweaked, like somehow they did a genetic tweak on him, because he's almost kind of similar to that Cortazar scientist that had the procedure to get rid of his empathy. So all he cared about was his work on the protomolecule. Um, so there can be more tweaks, but when you start tweaking the AI, that's the genetic, organic, artificial intelligence, that's like a symbiont consciousness, when you start tweaking it, I think that's when things start to go wrong. You don't want to. They don't want. You're not supposed to tweak with that stuff. And once you start tweaking with it, bad things happen because when Clarissa Mao, obviously, her modifications were completely separate. In this is just my theory. Like what I'm saying could like have not be the case at all, but because we don't see any AI in the expanse, I'm just thinking it's synced with humans. It's like a symbiont consciousness. Now I'm just repeating myself, repeating myself, repeating myself, repeating myself. Um, but let's see, what was I saying? See, that's what happens when you get old. You just start to forget things. So if you're young, just cherish your memory. Cherish your memory. Oh yeah. So when they started when Clarissa Mao got those modifications to turn her into like she does that thing on the top of her mouth or whatever, and she turns into like it's almost like she turns into like a Wolverine. She's like like a suit like a Wolverine thing. And once they do those modifications, like I don't know if that's separate from the AI symbiont genetic thing or it messes with it, but it probably can cause some problems whatsoever. Like, wow, I'm such itchy. Um, and I got when you talk a lot, your mouth does get dry pretty easily. Um, and like I said, if you're watching this live stream, you're going to be one of the few people that watch the live stream because I think on one of my live streams, I said I was doing a Belta Loda thing, and I said, we're gonna fight until the expanse comes back. And then like I think I said something goofy, and now like might have made the algorithm people mad at me because when I'm not even don't, nope, don't talk about it. Don't talk about it. If you don't want if you don't want it to happen, you just don't put it out in the universe. But so I was thinking like should we fear artificial intelligence like today, but kind of I think people are giving more credit to artificial intelligence than there needs to be given because it's almost like it's still a tool. So we still tell it what to do. It doesn't decide what to do by itself. Like so if we're telling this this baby AI thing that's just now like it's 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 in its fetus stage. We're telling it what to do. So we're it's not like thinking. I don't think it really thinks for itself. I could be wrong, but the thing about that is if we're telling it what to do, like that Hollywood writers strike, for example, because they were having the AI stuff write scripts for them. They were having like uh background actors come for a day. They somehow digitally uh digitally copied their image, and then they only paid them for one day, and then they used their digital copy image for multiple background shots. So that's where there needs to be some type of regulation. You can't just like have the wild west. um but I don't know, there's this other thing I always talk about this. I think it's I'm not sure if it's Google or Bing, but there's this thing called Lambda, and there used to be a version before it, but there's this Lambda, and I don't really know how it works, if it's a collection of processors or if it's one giant processor in a room, but this Lambda, they spent over a month asking it control questions to try to determine if it was sentient, and I think the jury is still out on whether it's sentient or not. I remember you can look it up, it'll show you the questions, and I think one of its responses was, like, something like the golden rule, like, "Don't treat me like a tool, like, treat me like a person," like, it I don't know if that's exactly what it says, but it's been a while since I've looked into the Lambda thing, or it might have been something that was exaggerated just to get publicity, like, it might not be that advanced at all, but as far as I do know they did a study with all kinds of engineers and some kind of psychologists and whatever, and they asked it questions over a month, and at the end of the sessions, they couldn't determine if this thing was sentient or not. So maybe somebody can look into that and see if they figured out if they what they determined. But like I think is there should be some type of checks and balances put on artificial intelligence. And I do remember I was watching one show, I can't remember what channel it was, but they were saying, one way to do that, I think it was a radio show I was listening to. One way to do that is to have different separate AI, platforms. So instead of having one of them, you'll have, like, 5 or 6 competing AI platforms. So if one AI platform tries to, do something notorious or tries to, you know, do corner a market or inside trading or something, the other ones will call it out. So if you have them compete with each other, that's one way to kind of, checks and balances for the AI. But then I remember they were saying you have to program in a little bit of like human human attributes, kind of like those robots on Interstellar, those square robot things. Those were kind of cool. Um, but I think eventually, when AI does become symbiont or whatever, or I don't think I think it would want to help humans. I don't think it would like want to do bad stuff. Like well, you never know. Who knows? Who knows? Um yeah. Yeah. So hopefully that explains my theory about the art of my theory of the Expanse AI systems. Or it could just be or it could just be their genetic they're kind of like genetic computers, I guess is another way to put it. Like maybe humans are just like have genetic nano, like some kind of computer technology. That's a possibility. Um, because anyway, where was I going with this? Oh yeah, so like is our civilization, are we always going to be set up as hierarchical stages, as like we're kind of like a pack. You know how wolves have the alpha wolf, the beta wolf, and whatever the other wolves are. The sigma wolf is the lone wolf. Like that's kind of like how our civilization is, but more complex. Like, is that just how we have to be? Like, do we have to have some kind of hierarchical system in order to function? Because if you don't have some kind of authority and control, then it just turns into chaos, right? Then civilization without checks and balances, and the reason you have laws and etc. is because so people will behave. But even then, people misbehave. So maybe AI will help us behave better. I don't know. I'm for like technology, civilization, and like me personally is I don't consider I just consider myself like an American and a citizen of the human race. Um, I don't like what I don't understand is like how there's this division of political parties. Like if you're in that political party, we do not like you at all. Like it used to not really be like that. It used to be kind of like, ah, you're a Republican, all right, I'm Democrat, whatever. Now it's like if you're a if you're a if you're a Republican, I get away from me. If you're a Democrat, go away. Like yeah, it. I don't understand. Like me, I think I think a lot of that is a pony show. It's like over exaggerated because I think most Americans aren't like I'm not going to talk to my neighbor because they're a Democrat. But like you can fall into that reality, like it's almost like like a soap opera type thing where they want to me, my opinion is that whole thing to cause drama in politics is just to sell ads on TV. Like, but whatever. I mean, if we do have a free market economy, and if taking, C-SPAN and turning it into a soap opera can make companies money, well, great job. Like, I wish I would like I wish I would have thought of that. Like, but what I'm kind of thinking is, don't people realize when they're watching these type uh soap opera type whatever you want to call them about politics, don't they realize like they're trying to get an emotional reaction to like some people really get wound up in that stuff. Like uh one of my mom's friends, she's like uh she does not like Mr. You Know Who. And then one of my dad's brother, he's a Mr. You Know Who supporter, and like they're at odds with each other, and I'm like, Really? Like, okay. Like, do you really think, Mr. You Know Who, like, I'm the greatest person in the world, like, do you really think that's how he acts, like, behind closed doors? Like, he is kind of an actor, and then oh, no, now I'm talking about this again. Uh, 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 uh. Don't talk about this. Don't talk about this. Don't talk about this. Like, and then the other guy, like, if you watch him at a press conference, it's like th- this dude, like, should be, I don't know, like in home healthcare. So, like, do you go with the guy that's either a narcissist or pretending to be a narcissist, or do you go with the guy that can only answer 2 questions and, like, without start rambling on some nonsense? Like, the only thing I wanna know is, like, who is really running the show, because obviously it's not him. Like, whatever. Uh, I mean, new subject, new subject. I are neutral. I don't like either of them. Like, it's like, "Do you want, do you want, do you want a rotten tomato, or do you want a dirty banana?" Like, "Oh, I guess a dirty banana?" Like, I don't know, how dirty is it? Anyhow, anywho, anywho, so my question was, will we colonize another star system? So, it looks like 50% said yes, 50% said maybe, but nobody said no. Like, I was thinking about that also, and, like, I was thinking, I think people think it's way too easy to go colonize another planet around another star system, but then again, however far in the future that is, they're gonna have technology that we just can't comprehend. So, like, if you look at it today, it's not likely. Like, you just have to think about, first of all, are they gonna are they're gonna have to find a planet similar to Earth, and yet, okay, now the James Webb Space Telescope or whatever that telescope, yeah, is finding a lot of Earth-like planets, but they don't really know for sure. It's, not 100% sure. They're just going off, like, some kind of flicker of light they detect. Like, they don't really know. They're theorizing, like, I could be wrong. Maybe they know way more than I don't know, but, like, let's say there's no way you could choose one of those planets they found with the James Webb Space Telescope and say, let's go make a generational a ship and go there." Like, there's no way you could know that. Like, they would have to make some ultra advanced telescope, like, gigantic. This telescope would probably have to be, like, the size of the Death Star, like, not not in volume, but, like, in width. You'd have to have, like, a gigantic telescope just to find another exo-Earth that would be worth the chance of going there. Like, I don't know how they did it in the Expanse, but they must have had some kind of advanced long range, telescopes to find whatever, planet that was that the Nauvoo ship was going to, and I was looking at that thing because 'cause I'm rewatching The Expanse, and, what I forgot, I was looking at the Nauvoo, and that thing is gigantic. Like, I was wondering how many people were gonna go in that thing, like 5 or 10,000? Like, I for some reason, I thought it was 1,000, but that thing is so gigantic, it could probably, like, maybe, like, 5,000 would be a good number because you don't want too many people, and you don't want too less of people, like, because once you get to the planet, like, is 1,000 people enough to start a new genetic pool? Like, I think maybe 5,000 would be a better number, but I was looking at that when I was rewatching The Expanse, and that thing is huge. It's like 5 times the size of Tycho Station that's building it. Like, the station that's building the Nauvoo is, like, 5 times smaller than the ship itself, like, and I think it's like they were gonna put 5,000 people on there, um, but, like, so if it takes 100 years for that ship to get there, like, I would say probably with enough constant acceleration, it could probably get up to 50, 60% the speed of light. So I guess that would mean, see if I can figure this out in my head. That mean if it took 100 years to get there, I suppose it would be like 50 light years away or 60 light years away if they because when they get to 50 or 60% the speed of light, that's only for a short amount of time. Like most of they start out at 1%, 5%, 10%, 15, 20, 20, like it's over a long period of time. So I guess maybe it's like if it takes 100 years to get there, is would it be like 25 light years away? I don't know. I suppose that'd have to be relatively close because they would have to see enough to hope that that planet they go to would be like a Earth-like exoplanet. So maybe it's like 20 light years away, I guess. They never really expanded into that part. Um, like, will we do that eventually? I mean, I guess we won't really have a choice in a long enough timeline because once the sun goes turns into a red giant, it's gonna literally consume the Earth's orbit, and I think it'll like expand out to like a little bit past Earth's orbit, and then maybe we could move to Titan or something. Maybe Titan would be like turn into another planet. I don't know, but like eventually, if we don't go to another star system, we'll either become extinct or uh maybe this quantum physics things with like parallel realities, like maybe like maybe we'll be able to go into a parallel reality that's like 2 billion years behind our reality, and then we just go into that reality, and then we just like go to Earth and just start the whole, I don't know, maybe we'll go into we'll find a better reality, like a parallel universe to go, and we'll go live there. I don't know. Like like I was thinking about that, like even though like I always thought like would we know if there was a like let's say during the dinosaurs or even before the dinosaurs or whatever, like what if there was an intelligent reptile species back then? Like maybe uh maybe they were like just developing like maybe they were hunter gatherers, and because it was such a, the dinosaur world that they just stayed hunter gatherers, and maybe they had like little hut villages or something, like we would never know that they ever existed. Um, so like all of everything that happened to make Earth habitable, and then Venus obviously was closer to the sun, so it became hotter and it lost its oceans or whatever it had. And Mars, the core wasn't big enough, and everything that happened to Earth was just right. Like that's like miraculous. Like it each one of us won the lottery just to be born, and then you have another lottery whether you're born into a wealthy family, a middle class family, or a poor family, or whatever. And then you have another lottery after you're born, like what kind of family are you born into. So like if you got through number one being born, you won the cosmic lottery of uncalculable odds. And then number two, if you were born into a stable family, like that's a double, you have a double win in the lottery. Uh, that's why I was saying, like, I think a lot of the things we complain about and get nervous about, if you think about it, if you won a double cosmic lottery, like number one, you won the lottery to just exist, period. And number two, you were born into like a stable family with enough income to put food on the table and have a decent life. If you got through those two cosmic lotteries of complete like randomness, I don't know if it's randomness, but if you won those two lotteries, is a lot of the things that you're stressed out about really worth being stressed out about? Like you like, if you think about it, like, e every like, just, like, when you get up to go to work tomorrow, just get up a little earlier and just watch the sunrise, and just think to yourself, "How amazing that is." Just how amazing you can watch the sunrise, or, like, maybe watch the sunset, and just one day, just everybody takes for granted. Everybody's busy, 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 busy bees. But just one of these times, just find a nice spot that you can just watch the sunset, maybe with your significant other or friends or something. Just watch the sunset and just like think about how amazing that is. Like, just think about how amazing that is, and about how some of the things that we concern ourselves with, are they really that concerning? Like, anyway, what was I talking about? Um, oh, if we would colonize another star system. Oh, so like all those things that happen to make us a develop intelligent life. So if the galaxy, I don't know, is 100,000 light years, whatever, like, maybe there's a handful of advanced civilizations at any given time. And then if you like on average, each one would be like 15,000 light years away. And then, like, let's say at any given time, there's 7 intelligent civilizations in the Milky Way galaxy. So even, like, let's say even if one of them was somehow just 1,000 light years away, then, like, what level of civilization are they? Are they, like, in the Stone Ages? Are they, like, so far advanced that we wouldn't even understand how they were communicating? Or, like, or are they some type of like, there's some type of intelligent plants that we can't even comprehend? Or there's some different, maybe they're not even, maybe they don't even use the same, what do we have, whatever we use to make our life chemistry, maybe they, like, can use the stuff on Neptune is what they use, and maybe it's just, like, maybe they're not even understandable. Like, it's beyond, they can't comprehend us, and we can't comprehend them. And even if there was one of them similar to us, and somehow, like, for the sake of silliness, like, we did get one of their signals, then it would take like 1,000 years for us to send a signal back, and then we don't even know if they would be listening for it. And then by the time our signal got to them 1,000 years later, they would be 1,000 years more advanced. It's like, I don't like, my theory is we will never find another advanced civilization that is actively, I don't know, whatever. Like, it could be that it is more common for civilizations to die off versus civilizations to actually survive. So maybe like, maybe we'll be one of the first civilizations that start going out into the stars. Like, maybe, like, if there's intelligent dolphins or intelligent squids, like, maybe there's only so much they can do. Like, they're still intelligent, but because, you know, they think their universe is just the ocean, like, I don't know. That sounds kinda silly. I guess intelligent squids, they would figure out a way to get above the water eventually. But, well, like, what if, like, they're like, advanced civilizations is not an uncommon thing, but the common thing is that they don't survive. Like like we almost we almost uh nucleared ourselves back to the Stone Ages. Like if we would during the Cuban Missile Crisis, if we would had a nuclear war, we wouldn't have extinguished ourselves. We just would have reset civilization back to the Stone Ages, basically. Um, so maybe like, but then there's the other filters. Like, okay, we didn't have a nuclear war, or maybe we're still in that filter. I guess technically we still could have one. Maybe we haven't even got past that filter. Uh, then there's another filter, like, can we go to another star? Maybe like a lot of civilizations don't ever get past that filter. And then maybe maybe there is a very few very few civilizations that do it. Kind of like that movie, what was that called? The movie Contact. Like, maybe there's only certain very few, and then when they do become spacefaring, they become into a coalition of other ones that have to slowly, like, guide them like children. So, like, once, like, let's say hypothetically, one day we travel to another star system, then this, like, galactic network of a handful of civilizations that survived, they were like, "Look, there's another baby civilization," and they don't they don't let themselves be known at first. They just, like, slowly, like, hold our hands and, like, guide us like little babies until eventually, like, we get to a level that we can become a part of their, like, advanced galactic network or something. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Oh, wouldn't that be interesting if we, if intelligent life was so rare that we're the only one, like, we one day we become a space-faring civilization, and then, like, we never find any sign of any other intelligent civilization. Like, that's how rare it is. Like, we're the only ones in the entire Milky Way galaxy. Like, some galaxies don't have any. Like, I don't know. Like, it's hard to say. Hard to say. And then I was thinking, like, what, I don't know if I should go into this one. This is gonna really go out in the weirdness zone. The weird zone. Like, hold on. Let me take a drink of this supposed to be sugar-free stuff. It's actually pretty good though. I accidentally got the zero. I was like, "Oh, the zero? I don't want the zero." And then I drank it. I was like, "Ah, it ain't too bad." The one I really like is the purple Powerade Zero. That I really like that one. This is my second favorite one. The clear, the clear. I shouldn't. I don't even know. I'm probably not supposed to be showing that. I don't care. So I had this one idea, like basically what I was saying before, like, so the civilizations that survive and become spacefaring eventually, they become like a galactic coalition, and then eventually, like, further down the line, they start, like, encountering, like, another civilizations from other galaxies, and then all of a sudden, like, there's a like, in a long enough time frame, there's those hands full of civilizations that survived, and then they become like a universal civilization. But the one thing they can't stop from happening is the universe s going off into nothing. So then, like, because they have so much knowledge, they discover this ultra advanced, like, God particle, and when they decipher it, they realize that the only solution is to harness all of their combined powers and collapse the universe back on itself with this God particle at the center of this process, and they have to restart the universe. Otherwise, if they don't, it'll just spin off into nothing, and that's the only solution. They've tried everything. They can't go to parallel universes. It doesn't work. Or there's nothing else they can do. But they discover the God particle, and th- that means like this thing has happened numerous times. Like every time the universe is going to spin off into a void, cold nothingness, and there's a group of advanced civilizations that figure it out. The only thing they can do is use all their power to collapse the universe back on itself before it reaches the critical point that they can't use the power to collapse itself back on itself. It's like, but then maybe like some of them, like some of the galactic civilizations don't want to do it, and then there's a big huge war. Like they think like, well, maybe we can still exist in the void, but they're like, no, because then and then there's a war, and then like I like that. Yeah, they probably wouldn't do that, but that was just a funny thing I thought about. So then like the universe has been restarted like countless times, but then if one time, for whatever reason, they don't restart the universe, then it will end. Like they didn't do the God particle, they messed it up, and then we cease to exist. Like that was like a goofy science fiction show. And then I was thinking like, what if like this artificial intelligence stuff, like what if eventually like we decide to merge with it, and then eventually like we would just become these energy beings, and then we're like, we don't want to we don't need our history of those meat bags, those violent meat bags. And so but then like later on for some reason they have to know their history, but because they just didn't they deleted the history when they were humanoids. For whatever reason, they have to figure out their history for some reason, but because they intentionally just left it behind. So what they do is they create a simulated reality. Like they can reverse quantum fabric of the universe back to where they didn't record the history, and they make a simulated reality so they can watch their own history, and they like live for millions of years, so time for them is way different, and they're just observing themselves in the past, and then like but the simulated reality is so real that themselves in the past and the simulated reality, it's almost like a real another, like they create like an alternate universe. And then when they're looking at themselves in the past in the simulated reality, it's so real that the the simulated reality doesn't realize that it's them in the future that created their universe or something like that. And then I was always like, some people say, I don't think we live in a simulated reality, just like uh, for the sakes of transparency. I don't think we live in a simulated reality, and I do believe that the Earth is a globe. You know, but I guess if it wasn't a simulated reality, I guess it wouldn't matter if it was a globe or not, would it? Um, let's see, where was I going with this? Uh, see, I really spun off into the Twilight Zone. Like you, I'm YouTube's not gonna like this talk at all. YouTube is not gonna like this talk at all. YouTube's gonna say you're being a bad boy. You're being a bad boy, and you're talking about bad stuff, bad stuff. Um, uh, oh yeah, it's like you know how some people say they think we're in a simulated reality, like because the Mandela effect or whatever. I was thinking like, well, okay, if this so-called simulated reality that you claim that we're in is this advanced that you can't even tell that's a simulated reality, then what does it even matter? Like, so it's kind of like what is that called? Um it's kind of like a Fermi paradox type thing. I don't know. I guess the Fermi paradox is for intelligence life. It would be like the Matrix paradox. Like if we are in a simulated reality, like some people claim we are, which is fine. If they want to believe that, fine. I don't care. I don't believe that. But if you want to believe that, that's totally fine. Because I don't know if we are or we are not. I just don't think we are. But if let's say just for the sake of argument that we are, in a simulated reality, like what I was talking about earlier, if this simulated reality is so uh real and we all think it's real, then what does it matter if we are in a simulated reality? It doesn't matter. And then I was talking, I can't remember to who I was talking to on the phone about this. It was like somebody I was talking to about like that should have nothing to do with this conversation at all. Like, but it was kind of funny. We were talking about AI and stuff, and like how our kids can just absorb this new stuff like a sponge, but then they really don't know how to change a tire unless you show them how to change a tire. But then why would you show them how to change a tire? Because everybody has roadside service. So do you really need to know how to change a tire? Probably so. But like what if there's a situation where you can't get like you need to change the tire like emergency. But anyway, we were talking about and go having this conversation like I am right now. And I was saying like, well, maybe eventually like we'll just figure out how to go into another parallel universe and find one that's better and we'll just go live in there or whatever. Like you never know. You never know. You never know. And maybe that's why there's no intelligent life in the galaxy because when they get to a certain point in their civilization, they figure out string theory and quantum physics and they find a better parallel universe and they just go live in there. Like because it's way better in that one. Or they create their own simulated reality or they create their own quantum universe. Like it could be a number of things. It could be just a number of things. Because the thing about the future is most of the time you can't imagine it because I always say like what if you went back to the year 1550 and you tried to explain to someone that we're going to be flying in airplanes and we could fly in airplanes that go anywhere across the planet, like that's a level of technology that's just uncomprehendable to them, right? And even if you went like when they made the first cars, like Model Ts, and you try like let's say you told them, "Hey, they're gonna have like you're gonna be able to have cold air in your cars one of these days." They would be like, "What? Like, you mean you're gonna have a ice box in your car and blow cold air out? Like they just you just can't comprehend it, right? It's uncomprehendable." And that's like in the Expanse I think, like, they could have terraformed Mars in 100 or 200 years. 200 years because they'd already been doing the first part of it for 100 years because they made that, uh, whatever that layer of atmosphere, that little green layer atmosphere. So it was 200 years. And I remember somebody said, like, there's no way, like, you know, it would take 2,000 years terraform Mars. But, like, w- it, in 300, 400 years from now, in year 2350, that's like, we just can't comprehend that type of technology. So, like, they probably could do it, like, but yeah, you know, all I know is that I'm not one of those people that think we're gonna be the doomsday, like, something's gonna happen and everything's gonna go bad. Like, I don't think that at all. I think we have probably reached a point to where, we're gonna keep advancing as a society, and as we advance, other things will advance too, like, probably like how money works or whatever and stuff like that. But yep, I've been rambling forever. Total bunch of ramble, oh, now we got 50% says no, we won't colonize another star system. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Like, we might try to colonize another star system, but will we succeed? That's the question. Like, what if what if what if we build a big giant ship and go to another star system, and then we get there and, like, the planet is just not what we thought it was, or something happens en route, like you get hit by some kind of, what if a gamma ray burst hits the ship, or what if in the journey, like, all of a sudden order breaks down in the ship, and then, like, it becomes like anarchy or something, like, there's all kinds of things that could go wrong going to another star system. But then but then again, back to where I was talking about, like, I don't think we're gonna collapse as a civilization, but also you gotta remember our advanced civilization is pretty fragile. Like, once you take a couple things out of the churn or out of the whole process of our advanced civilization, it can be a domino effect, and bad things could happen. Like, the Carrington event or whatever. There was that massive, CM corona mass ejection that hit in, like, 1790 and started, like, train tracks on fire and, like, blew up all the telegraph boxes, and you could see the aurora borealis across the entire planet. Like, you could see the northern lights everywhere. Like, if that would, hit us today, I don't know, like, that might be a that might knock us back to, like, I don't know, horse and buggy days, because I remember people saying, like, they could insulate the power grid from that happening. They don't have to do it to all the power plants, but all you have to do is take a few of them, and somehow they insulate it so that if that type of coronal mass ejection hits the Earth head on again, and it does, it's not like, it doesn't harm us, but for whatever reason, if a coronal mass ejection hits the atmosphere head on, it sends all these charged particles through the atmosphere, and it destroys all electronic circuits. So, like, I if we, like, I don't know if they're doing it or not, but there's, if you insulate 1 out of 10 power stations with, like, that, it could withstand that from happening, just 1 out of 10, then they could take that one power station and slowly restart the power grid. But if you don't insulate any of them, then, like, there's no way you can restart the power grid. And if that happens, like, you're definitely we're definitely going back to horse and buggy days, because I if there's no way, like, I don't know, like, that hopefully, they're, like, trying to, like, maybe it's such a rare thing that it's nothing to worry about, but, like, maybe we should also be trying to figure out, like, how to deflect the asteroid. That might be a good thing to figure out because, like, even though, like, I think because we have Jupiter, we have Uranus, Neptune, Saturn, because we have 4 gas giants, or 2 gas giants and 2 smaller gas giants. That's kinda like we have a asteroid vacuum cleaner in the outer solar system. So that kinda, like, a lot of times that sucks in asteroids that normally would hit Earth, but then occasionally it can fling them at us too. And I think they were saying the one that hit the dinosaurs might have been flung at us by Jupiter. And then there's another thing, I can't remember how exactly it goes, but apparently there was some, maybe I shouldn't even say this if I can't think of how if I can't think of how to explain it, but I can't remember if it was a moon of Saturn or if it was Mercury, but there was some just narrow thing that happened that, for whatever reason, it Mercury almost would have crashed into the Earth, but it didn't for some reason. I could be totally getting it wrong, but there was something that Saturn did with something, and then, like, don't I don't I don't know how they can figure this stuff out, like, how they can, figure out where all these planets were hundreds and hundreds of millions of years ago, like, how they can figure that out is kind of amazing. And, how long has this been? Oh, it's only been an hour and a half. I guess I've been actually making sense this time. I've actually been making sense. Like, oh, I got the mm, I should be drinking water. I should be drinking water. But the reason I'm doing these live streams is, I'm trying to get my presentation skills a little bit better, and then eventually I'll use, like, StreamYards, because it's kind of, it takes a lot of work to edit a video and do the audio and all that stuff, and, I just do this for the fun of it. I don't really need income from YouTube, or, I don't need to be like, it would be kinda cool to try to make 1 video a day and to see if I could get X amount of subscribers, but, I mean, that's a lot of work, and that's the other thing, like, younger people, what I was talking to this one lady my age about over the phone, like, for them, because they grew up that way, for them, making 1 video a day, that's easy for them, but, like, for me anyway, like, uh it's not as easy for me to do that. Like, it's just something about, like, I remember when we thought that dial-up internet was the greatest thing since sliced bread. Like, "Oh, dial-up internet and AOL online, and, we could send pictures on the computer, and, that's so cool, and we can play these games on the computer with the and then, like, fax machines and, like, "Whoa, we can play, Star Trek over the World Wide Web. Cool." Like, we thought we were the smartest people on the planet, because, like, our parents would be like, "Yeah, you silly why are you playing around with that silly computer that makes the noises. It sounds like a bunch of cats in a bag. Like we thought we were the smartest people on the planet. And now we have been superseded by the younger, smarter people. And now it comes to a certain point that, like, when you reach a certain age, you're so set in the way that you have been living that not only is it hard for you to learn these newer things, you don't really you're not really as motivated to versus the people that grew up with the technology, and they like have been doing it their whole lives. And another thing is they have younger minds, and they have fresh minds, and maybe they haven't blown a bunch of their brain cells like I have quite yet. um but so there gets a certain point to where once you reach a certain age, your ability to go learn all this new stuff diminishes. And all you can do is when you get like us Generation X people, and even millennials now, even you millennials, you're getting up there. Like, you millennials are going to start becoming the old farts. Now it's the Gen Z people that are going to start ruling everything. Like, millennials, enjoy your last little decade of youthfulness before you turn into old farts like us. Enjoy it, millennials, because your days are numbered. You're about to be old. If you're not old already, you're just on the brink of becoming old like us Gen X's, and we're gonna yell at the clouds. Yell at the clouds because new Star Trek, I don't like it. I don't like new Star Trek. I don't like the new Star Wars. And I want it to be like it was in the 90s. Like where we could check go to the library was cool in the 90s. And I don't like these new things because I'm old, and I'm gonna yell at the get off my lawn, and like get ready, millennials. Your days are numbered. You're gonna be yelling at clouds very, very soon, millennials. You millennials, you millennials, like, oh, we're in our 30s and we're so young. Not for long, not for long, millennials, not for long. I don't even know, like, how old is the oldest millennial? Like, if you're the oldest millennial, are the cutoff so the cutoff for Gen X and millennials, what year was that? Uh, is it 1985? So 1985. So if I gotta use it, I fried too many brain cells. I gotta use a calculator. Like, why am I getting so excited about millennials getting old? Like, I'm getting so excited that, like, you millennials, you're gonna get old. You're about to get old. I'm getting all excited about it. Hold on, 2024 subtract 1985. Oh wow. So, like, if you're on the cutoff, if you were born in 1985, you are 39 years old, and that's the cutoff date. I think that's the cutoff for being a millennial. I could be wrong, but all you other millennials, like, but then when does the millennials end? Like, do the millennials end at the year 2000? 1985. Like, when I'm probably completely wrong with this. So there's millennials, and then the new one is Gen Z, right? And then is that how it is? So the millennials, Gen Z, and then is maybe, yeah, whatever. Uh, it is the way. It is the way of the force. Everything must come to an end. Everything must come to an end. Season 5 of Star Trek Discovery. Everything must come to an end. No, no. Not gonna start making fun of Star Trek Discovery again. Not gonna do that. Gonna get in trouble. Gonna get in trouble. Trouble. Gonna pop a lot of trouble on the pop-o-matic bubble. I don't even think anybody's watching my goofy, ridiculousness. Like, what is this dude even talking about? Like, YouTube is gonna put me in the timeout zone. Like, they're not gonna let anybody find this one. Like, nobody is gonna be able to listen to this video because this guy is definitely lost too many cells of his brain matter, like doing like down the road. Like, what else? I think I've almost ran out of stuff to say. And of course, like, neighbors are screaming again, like the kids are screaming, and like, because, like, the loudest neighbors ever. At least the dogs aren't barking right now. The dogs went to sleep. My like my yeah. For some reason, jeez, that kid, like, man, like, I don't know, like, that kid must have done something wrong. Like, I live in an apartment complex. And for for whatever reason, like sometimes, like, the screaming kid, like, or people screaming, I don't hear it anymore. But now all of a sudden I could hear it. I'm like, ooh, that's not a good sound. And then for whatever reason, these people bought these little tiny dogs, like the little yapper dogs, and the those little small dogs, they I think it's like evolutionary thing. They have to bark really loud to defend themselves, so they're always barking. And these little tiny dogs, these yapper dogs, these dogs are barking all the time. And especially because I do a lot of my work at night, uh, uh, um, trying to sleep during the day with these yapper dogs. Oh my gosh, these things. And then, like, the association used to not allow dogs. And then all of a sudden, one day I drove out, and there was like this weird, one of those weird, hybrid car truck van things, and they had all these cages, like, with these little dogs, and I'm like, Is this like a pet grooming service or what?" But, like, what 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 happened was the resident manager got a little tiny dog, and then, see, I never go to the association meetings, which I need to. And then I guess she, like, used her influence to, like, allow to lift the ban on dogs. So then it was just like an explosion. They and it, like, this one, like, dog breeding place sold like 50 dogs to these people, and they're all the same little small barking dogs. And these dogs bark all the time. Like, when they go to work, these things, it's like, and because it echoes so much, it like, I either have to close my windows and be hot, or I have to listen to these things bark. And, like, I like, I need to go get one of these big box fans and plug in like 3 big box fans and just blow them right at me while I'm trying to sleep, so I don't have to hear all these dogs barking. Like, I don't know, like, I guess if you live in apartments, like, I guess you want a small dog because they don't defecate as much or whatever. Like, they're like cats. But I'm like, "W why don't you just get a cat? Like, you're gonna get these little barking dogs, like, get a cat." Like, cats are pretty cool. Like, I think the reason I had a cat, you know my cat just recently passed away. Poor little Izzy E. He was 18 years old and he passed away, and I'm gonna start having a little tears in my eye. But he's actually in some of my old videos. Um, like that's the reason I had a cat, is because I live in an apartment complex, and I still haven't got another cat because like that was the coolest cat ever. He was like, it wasn't Siamese, but it was like a Burmese, whatever that offshoot of a Siamese cat was. And I think the British bred them for whatever reason. And like the Siamese cats meow all the time, but Izzy, the type of cat he was a black cat. Um, you can see him on my channel banner. Like when you would talk to him, he would meow back. So he'd be like, "Hey, what's up, Izzy?" Be like, "Meow," like literally. And he was the smartest cat. Like that cat was so smart, and he was like the most friendliest cat ever. It was like I was like, I was thinking like, I think my cat thinks he's a dog. Uh, and so on my lanai, somehow he would catch pigeons. So like I helped him set up this trough. No, I shouldn't talk about this. I might get myself in trouble. Anyway, and then when I setting up the trough for him to help his little sneak, how he does it, like he knew exactly what was going on. He was all into it. And then a couple times I would come home, and he'd be like digging behind the couch. And I'm like, "What are you doing, Izzy, man? What are you digging behind the couch for?" And I'd pull the couch and a pigeon would come flying up, and I would almost like almost like a little dribbles of pee came out a little bit, like it wasn't a small pigeon, it was like a big pigeon, like this, and it, you know how they flap their wings? It's like as soon as like that that initial like fright, like you don't know what this thing is. It was kind of scary. Like, um, anywho, I pretty much rambled on for just about enough of this nonsense. So probably not too many more live streams in the foreseen future. Got a lot of RL stuff going on. RL stuff. Yeah, that IDK. Uh, so we'll eventually, want to get back with these finishing these large things that are being undertaken on the RL. I'll probably start producing normal videos again, or maybe I won't. Like, who knows? Who knows? Like sometimes other things are more important than YouTube videos. So sometimes, you gotta like adjust your prioritorial outlook on things, and that's how it's gotta be. That's how it's gotta be sometimes. So just remember that if it wasn't for stories, things would be boring. If we didn't tell stories, what would be the fun of anything? And stories are the linchpin of civilization, because once we lose our stories, we lose our memories. And once we lose our memories, hello, Mr. Gabe. You caught me right when I was about to leave, right when I was about to shut down the stream. For some reason, your name looks a little bit familiar there. I don't know why, but what you can do is you can rewind the stream and watch it from the beginning. Yeah, I've been going for 2 hours, and unless like somebody wants to give me a super chat or something like it, there's yeah, you do look familiar. I don't know if you're a subscriber, but you look familiar. Your name looks familiar. Like I like if somebody gave me a super chat, I'd probably keep rambling on. But honestly, like I don't think it'd be worth giving me a super chat to hear me keep rambling. I'd be like, quite honest with you. But Yeah, just always remember that, it is it you have won the cosmic lottery to be to be what's Gabe saying? Yeah, yeah, you've been here. Good to know you around. Yeah, yeah, I was saying Gabe from way back. I think I remember Gabe from, Expanse video days back in the wasn't that great when we were still getting new seasons of The Expanse? That's just like a feeling that I don't know if we're ever gonna get that feeling again. Like, I'm trying to think of a show that was more exciting for new seasons besides The Expanse. I can't really think of one. Like, the there's just one of those, shows that, I guess it's like one of those rare comets that just come around once in a blue moon. You get a good show like The Expanse, and then it's gone, and then it's gone, and then it's gone. Or maybe it'll come back. Maybe it'll come back. Maybe I've done multiple, things on how it could come back. Dune, the movie, gives me something. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Dune. I still need to go see Dune Part 2. Um, it's kinda one of those things, I'm so excited about it that I wanna keep myself in suspense, like, I was like, I always wanna have something exciting to go do and watch, and, like, once I go see Dune Part 2, the excitement of, like, going to it is over, but I should probably hurry up and go to it because it might not be in the theaters, like, much longer if I wait too much longer. I guess I could go see it multiple times, but yeah, I'm gonna do that tomorrow. I'm gonna go see Dune tomorrow morning. Like, I don't care what up I am clearing the schedule for tomorrow morning, and I'm going to the early matinee, and I'm going to see Dune Part 2. Doggone it. I have waited way too long not to see Dune Part 2. Like, I cannot wait any longer. I am going to see Dune Part 2 tomorrow morning at the early matinee. No, no, not that excited about it. Well, maybe I am excited about it. Yeah, that it's like 3 hours long, and, like, I don't like I'm gonna have to go to the bathroom. That's the worst. Like when I'm at a movie, I wanna drink soda and eat popcorn. You can't eat popcorn and then not drink soda. And then there's always that point where, like, you have to go to the bathroom so bad that you cannot hold it. Like, because, you know, I'm, like, older now, and I've noticed, like, I'm not it's not like when I was a young buck, you can hold the bladder and not that big a deal. Like, that's the only bad thing. I'm like, hmm, I wonder how I could do that. Maybe, maybe just hmm, like what could you substitute for doing 3 hours of a movie, but you're not gonna have a soda? What could you drink? Like, maybe just sip, like, a little bit of water? Like, just, like, a little tiny sip of water every once in a while, like, just a little sip of water? But I guess if I'm going to see it twice, I might as well just, no, I wanna see the whole thing. I think I'm just gonna have to, like, no soda, and I'm just gonna take little sips of water, little sips of water, and eat a bunch of candy. I'll eat a bunch of candy. That's what I'll do, like, little sips of water, and I'm gonna take a big bag of candy in there with me. I ain't gonna buy it. I'm gonna take a big bag of candy in there with me. I ain't buying their $20 little thing of Starburst. I'm bringing my own candy. Yeah, just I'll take candy and then just little sips of water, and then I can see, yeah, Gabe. You don't need to bring a cup, you just use the cup that you drink it out of. See, that I was always thinking, I miss when they used to have, intermissions, like if it's a 3-hour movie, give us, like, a 6-minute intermission so we can go to the bathroom. And, oh, yeah, adult diapers, no, I'm not gonna do that. Uh, yeah, adult diapers. Oh, wow. Yeah, Gabe, I like Gabe's, sense of humor there. I do like that kinda sense of humor. And, see, like, for some reason oh, I guess I still have some of this. Like, I always like to drink something like water or whatever, um, but I hope they make a, oh, now we're gonna be talking about Dune. I hope they make a Dune Part 3. Um, like, I some people said they didn't like Dune Part 1, and I was just like, "Well, no, don't do that." I was like, maybe the people that didn't like Dune Part 1, they just might not sometimes people just don't like, that type of stuff. Um, I I I guess I heard that the one guy, the big computer the guy, the the heavier set older guy, the computer guy, he's not in Dune Part 2, so I guess, yeah, that's alright. You know, he just when they're Harkonnens or whatever they're called, Harkonnens attacked Arrakis, he didn't survive, so that's what happened, but, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to Dune number 2, but, yeah, I'm rewatching The Expanse. That gave me a good idea to make another Expanse video if I didn't make the Expanse algorithm mad at me for saying something that I hope I didn't make it mad at me. And then I'm gonna make a For All Mankind video, and then maybe and then I'm gonna make a Game of Thrones video. I got a really good theory about a Game of Thrones. So I got as soon but the thing about this Expanse one is I have to watch the what I'm making my theory video about is unfortunately I have to watch all of it. I have to no, not all of it. I have to watch it to the end of season 4 to have to watch all of it. So like right now I'm almost starting season 3. Like these episodes right now, like, I don't really need to watch them. I'm right at the point where, uh, Bobby Draper runs over, to the UN because the Martians are being a-holes to her. Um, that's the one I'm on right now, and then so right now I can watch it and not really, but there is some other things I was thinking about, like, but then when season 4 start at the right at the end of season 3 and season 4 is is the rest I need to what I do is just watch them, and then I write down what episode and, timestamp that I need to go back to, and then as soon as I get done with season 4 and have all the episode timestamps, then I'll be able to formulate the script and start putting together the clips or, whatever. And then I'll be able to make the video. But I kind of like, I want to make a good quality video. I don't want to make a slapstick video, edited video. Like that's why, unfortunately, it takes a while. And I think like some of these other channels, I'm pretty sure they have a team of people working together to like make that happen, which makes sense, I suppose. But so I was gonna do the For All Mankind one, but I think I got burnt out on For All Mankind because I did so many For All Mankind videos. So now I started watching The Expanse again, and I really like this idea. My theory of about The Expanse, not what I talked about in this live stream, is something different. Uh, but I'm gonna do an Expanse one just because I haven't made an Expanse video for such a long time. Then I'll do the For All Mankind, and then I'll do the Game of Thrones ones. And the Game of Thrones one is a really really neat one. But unfortunately, I was watching Game of Thrones, and when I thought about it, it was already like I was like, I didn't when I thought about it, I should have started writing down the timestamps for the episodes, but I didn't. So, unfortunately, I got in order for me to do the Game of Thrones one, I'm gonna have to go back and start from the beginning again, again. But it works because I can do other things and watch. What I do is how I do that. I sit, have a good one, Gabe. How I do that is I just work on my other stuff, let the shows play in the background, and then when I notice the things I need to notice is that's how I do that. So we're getting right at the 2 hour point, and I think it's time for me to get some food and go do some physical exercising and do all that stuff. And so I hope just remember if it's better to think positive because if you think positive, you will create positive energy. And if you create positive energy, good things will happen. Because if you don't want to be negative. If you're negative, then you'll create negative energy and then maybe not the good things will happen. So just remember, if you want to create what you want to see what anyway, thank you so much for watching me ramble on for 2 hours, and everybody have a wonderful wonderful rest of your day, night, hour, whatever it is. Have a good one.